When you hear criminal defense attorneys talk about field sobriety tests and whether or not people should take field sobriety tests, our common advice is that they should not take field sobriety tests. But why is that? And so before I get there, let me say this. If you are in a position where you've had alcohol or an intoxicating substance and you are deciding whether or not you can complete the field sobriety test, whether or not you could pass the field sobriety test, it is such a better idea just to not drive. Okay, getting arrested is not the worst thing that could happen. What the worst thing that could happen is that you're in a car accident, that you hurt somebody. God forbid you die. God forbid somebody else dies. And so you have to be extremely careful. Everybody on the road deserves your best. And in Texas, if you're not at your best and you are under the influence of an intoxicating substance, you are intoxicated and you will likely be arrested for a DWI. But why don't we take field sobriety tests? And the reason we don't take field sobriety tests is because the field sobriety tests are really stacked against you. Let's take a look at what police officers are looking for. So they don't tell you what the criteria is for passing a field sobriety test. They just tell you whether or not you've passed it. And usually you find out whether or not you've passed it when you get arrested. And then you find out that you've failed it. So let's look at the walk and turn. So when people are looking at the walk and turn or trying to decide whether or not they could pass the walk and turn, they're asking themselves in their mind, colloquially, just the way things go, okay, I think I could walk a straight line. But that's not all that the officers are looking for. What they're looking for is the following. Cannot keep balance during their instructions. So at the beginning of the test, they tell you to stand heel to toe, okay? And they tell you to keep that position until you're ready to begin, until the officer tells you to begin. And so if you don't stay heel to toe, if you put your feet parallel, that's considered unable to keep balance during instructions. And they count that as a clue of intoxication. Starts before being told to start. Stops while walking, does not touch heel to toe, steps off the line, raises their arms for balance, turns incorrectly. So they give you a series of small steps to turn, to go back. If you don't do that exactly, if you twirl like a ballerina, that's considered a point. The number of steps going and the number of steps returning, they give you a specific number. If you don't do that specific number, that's considered a clue of intoxication. And if you have to stop the test for any reason. On the one leg stand, it's not just balancing on one leg, okay? And additionally on the walk and turn, it's whether or not you raise your arms for balance, 6 inches or more. So on the one leg stand, what they're looking for is whether or not you use your arms for balance. If you hop, put your foot down, or if you sway, okay? Those are the clues that they're looking for. Additionally, they want you to do an eye test. They're not actually testing whether or not you can follow the stimulus or whether or not your eyes are okay or whether or not you're okay if your vision is okay. What they're testing is something called nystagmus, the involuntary jerking of the eye that is exaggerated when you are under the influence of a central nervous system depressant. So police officers are looking for all of these things. And they don't tell you what the criteria is before you decide to take the test. So it's so much better if you're in that position, okay? If you're in the position where you don't believe that you're intoxicated, but you have had something to drink, if you think you're okay to drive, you're not intoxicated, you haven't lost the normal use of your mental or physical faculties, it is so much better to refuse those field sobriety tests and just get your blood alcohol taken, usually your blood alcohol drawn. It's better to do that than it is to show or try to demonstrate sobriety, which is very difficult to do under these circumstances.